Right, but there's some space between the mask and the shield, right?
Not enough.
Okay.
I'm not the only one. There's a group of us been talking back and forth that are home care workers. We're good. We obey the rules. Our clients are safe. We're safe. Nobody's sick. But this is insurance. Some are really worried about the problems that it's going to cause about the breathing. And home care workers are really short.
Yeah, of course they are. And home care is an interesting discussion that we should be having. I read a great column today about better home care services for seniors would save us money and make quality of life better for Canadian seniors, as opposed to automatically ending up in a personal care home or long-term care facility. But that's for another time. You take good care, Anne. I hope you're doing okay.
And I thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's keep going. Line number 5. Rick, you're on the air.
Good morning, how are you?
Grand, you.
Pretty good. I'm on my way home now from getting some groceries, and I'm so frustrated that we're at alert level 5, and my understanding is that we're only supposed to be going out for essential items, and on your way to the store, the person running you is coming out with a 65-inch TV. When other businesses that only sell these type of items, they're closed down. So I'm confused on how some businesses are allowed to sell non-essential items and some businesses aren't.
Yeah, it's long been the argument about why the Costco's and the Walmarts of the world are allowed to sell other things. Like, for instance, you point out electronics. There are smaller shops that sell nothing but. They're not allowed to open. But I guess if you're operating one of those big operations like those two aforementioned, Costco and Walmart, I understand why people think that's a double standard, but what do we do? So do we say put tape around some of the different offerings, shirts and socks, or maybe socks aren't a great example, shirts and TVs and barbecues and stuff, we're not allowed to sell them, we have to walk right by them so you can only buy essentials? I don't know how you'd manage that.
Well, I mean, at first blush, that makes sense to me. It might be inconvenient, but no more inconvenient than some businesses have to shut down completely.
I totally get it, especially when some of those businesses that shut down completely are small, locally owned operations, which makes it even more frustrating for many.
And when you're out in a lineup waiting to get into a business to get only groceries, knowing that there's people in line in front of you looking for a bath mat, like it bewilders me.
You know, maybe I think there's an argument to be made for things like stuff to be used in the bathroom could be very easily considered essential, because a bath might, I'm not trying to just nitpick here, but, if it keeps you from slipping, it might be one thing. The same reason why some of the hardware stores are open. It might not be essential to hang that picture, but it might be essential to get that bit of plumbing material in the exact same store, which is why the exact same disconnect and or double standard exists for a smaller shop that sells whatever the case may be, even some clothing, for instance, that is now replaced by someone's going to spend that money at the big box store because they can still get that piece of clothing up there. And I totally get where you're coming from, but I don't know how manageable it would have been. Would we have had to have an audit of everything inside of Costco, for instance, to deem it essential or not? It might have been a pretty complicated affair, but I feel bad for a lot of people because I have friends in those businesses that own them and operate them that are closed, and they're watching with dismay the people that are shopping at those other stores buying items that they sell.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's I think there's fundamentally something wrong. I don't necessarily have the solution for it, but I think big businesses, they're smart. Considering that we're in alert level 5, we don't need people in browsing for iPads and TVs and that sort of thing, in my opinion. And that's just beyond me that a 65-inch TV will be considered an essential item.
Yeah, I don't know if it will be or not, but you mentioned something like an iPad. That might be, right? Because that could have a variety of uses which are 100% essential at this moment in time. Whether it be to get a virtual healthcare appointment or your child is learning online, there's a variety of arguments to be made for technology, and it's essential, or it's being deemed essential. But Rick, you're right. There are people that will be browsing for stuff that maybe it's just an upgrade, and so whether or not your old 55 inch isn't good enough anymore and 65 or is what you yearn for, probably doesn't fall into the category as essential. I appreciate your time. You take good care of yourself.
Appreciate it.
All right, bye. Yeah, it's a tricky piece. Look, that argument's been made right from the beginning of all of this, right? Is how come they're allowed to sell what I sell in my smaller locally owned operation? I'm closed, they're open. Like many public health policies here and restrictions and rules, there has been a certain level of inconsistency. And I guess that's probably unavoidable in many circumstances. There's never going to be a one-size-fits-all. I mean, just think about it. Something as fundamental as you can only have X number of people in the grocery store at the same time in the effort to keep people safely physically distanced. Yet, up until last Friday, we had people going to school and nothing changed with the congestion. Nothing changed with the class sizes. The footprint didn't change. So people are right when they say, I don't understand why this rule is in place when the double standard is clear for all to see. Let's take a break. When we come back, how are we doing out there, Dave? We got a few calls this morning? Let's take a break. Don't go away.
You're listening to an encore presentation of VOCM Open Line with Patty Daly. When you hear a phone number, please don't call, but do enjoy the show. Patty Daly is back with a live edition of VOCM Open Line, Monday 9 to noon. Until then, enjoy this encore presentation. When you hear a phone number, please don't call, but do enjoy the show. The Canadian Mental Health